Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Bayou Bets. It is Monday, December the 5th. It is Monday Night Football. Jim, can I get a Monday Night Football?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's
Dun,
Monday
dun,
Night Football, Saints and Bucs tonight in about 3 hours. I'm here. Jim's here. Spencer the Guru's here. I found this in the publisher's fridge. It's Baton Rouge Home Team Brewing Company by the numbers. Look,
Ooh.
we're going to drink on the job tonight. It's Monday Night Football, boys.
I got
Let's
kickstart.
All right. I got a little IPA in me.
I got a pineapple orange. Man, I'm gonna get fired up. I need a little kickstart to.
You're going to get fired up. I might get fired, but I'm drinking on the job.
All right, Harry Carey.
I just like saying hamstring. It was a hamstring injury.
Ewing backwards is Gnewy.
All right. Look, that's right. It's good to be. Although, look, we're going to get craft beers going. So if you own a craft brewery, hook us up and we'll get you a shout out. This is Rally Cap homemade.
We're really going downhill.
Or maybe we're rising to a better level.
Do me a favor.
Maybe that's what it is.
I don't want your job.
Oh, okay.
Don't get fired.
Okay, well, I'll just keep drinking on the job then, and we shall see. Saints-Bucs tonight, 3-point spread. It was 6 a week ago, and if you want to go really in-depth on this game, please go listen to Jim's Datitude episode from this morning with Jeff Duncan. You guys talk about this. Now, the Bucs, the -3 is juiced a little bit, -125. It's still 3.5 at some other books, so if you want to bet the Saints, you can still find 3.5 in places. But the point is, sharp money is in on the Saints in this game, Spencer.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, because I remember when it opened early last week, it was, I think, it's like 5.5 or 6, and then it moved drastically to 3.5. So definitely a lot of money came in on the Saints there, and I think that has to do with the fact that that with the Saints have owned the Bucs at Raymond James, as you mentioned, Jim, on Datitude. I believe it's the past 4 the Saints have won there, and the past couple of years especially. The Saints have been dominant. The Bucs have only scored 3 points in the past 2 years against the Saints at home. So a lot of sharps probably are seeing those trends and are like, man, we gotta jump on the value.
Yeah, Jim, the Saints offense, and by the way, Datitude is worth a listen. Great stuff on the Saints. Jim spews more college football playoff nonsense, but the Saints part is worth listening to.
That's why I'm drinking kickstart, so I can get fired up when that comes
we'll get into that later, but
yeah, they didn't give me a craft beer. You be in, I'll be drinking with
it. Spencer, go get you a craft beer and expense it, man. I'm giving you permission on live air here.
Back in 20.
Judy, hello, Judy. Are you watching, Judy?
Yeah. Hey, but we're brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. Go to NOLA.com/Caesars to sign up if you want to. We're going to get to some of our single game parlays that we bet at Caesar Sportsbook for this game, and we're going to let you, the people, pick out which one is most likely to win. You can get your first bet up to $1,250 back in form of a free bet if you lose. You could also go to LSUposter.com if you prefer our LSU poster giveaway. Copies of our front pages from LSU championships past. Really cool deal just for making a $10 bet. So check out those things. Oh, I got a little carbonation in there, boys. It's happening already. Yeah, Coors Tall Boys, we could do that. That's Dad's suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so
there we go.
We're going to make our picks at the end of the show for Saints Bucs, but I want to get into our SGPs, our same game parlays now. So Jim, here's what you took tonight. Now, a same game parlay, there's a whole section under Caesar Sportsbook. You can pick out different player props. You can bet the spread, the total, alternate spreads, alternate totals, all sorts of cool stuff you can combine. Usually end up with some pretty good odds. And so what happened was the company is giving us each an extra $20 a week to bet on a same game parlay, just to sort of experiment with it. So we are literally betting part of our paycheck here. So that's the kind of trouble I get these guys into while I drink beer. So Jim, your SGP for tonight.
Yeah. Look, I think the Saints are going to be all over Tom Brady tonight. They're going to pressure him and really piss him off. So he's going to throw an interception. I just have the feeling that he's going to throw an interception. So there we go.
Okay.
The Saints, again, like I talked about in Datitude, they're playing the 20th ranked rushing defense, which is actually good for Andy Dalton because they'll be able to. This has got to be an Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill game. So I took the over attempts. I don't know how Kamara is going to do rushing yardage wise. I'd rather take his attempts, which is just over 12.5. I think he's going to have 16 to 18 attempts. And then Taysom Hill is going to have to break one off. He's going to have to be more involved. I think he'll be behind center. I said in Datitude between 10 and 12 times. So if he's behind center 10 and 12 times and he runs, let's say 6 of those, to get 25.5, he only has to rush for a little over 4 yards a carry, and that's well under his average. So,
yeah, and as you said when you texted this to us, this is sort of like the Saints win recipe same game parlay here. This is the sort of stuff they're going to need tonight.
Correct. And I think I'm not going to be mean to Pete Carmichael this afternoon, and we're going to be positive.
We're in a good mood.
So I think he knows that these are the things that have to happen.
Pete Carmichael.
Yeah. Good job, Pete. I will say this. I think that Dennis Allen, you can say what you want, and I've said a lot negative things about Dennis Allen this year, but he is head and shoulders above Todd Bowles, who might be the worst coach in the NFL.
You got 2 guys who are real good defensive coordinators who have not made good head coaches, at least not to this point. So I kind of copied off Jim's paper a little bit. I have Kamara rushing attempts as well. I'm thinking the same way. This has to be an Alvin Kamara game. They're not going to put such a huge game in the hands of Andy Dalton. I also do think that Chris Olave, look, the Bucs have given up at least 70 yards to a single receiver in every single game this season, except for one, and that was the Falcons when they played them at home. The Falcons had it spread out a little bit more, but it's, I think, at least 68 yards to the leading receiver in every other game this year, including 80 to Chris Olave back in week 2 when the Saints offense really didn't do anything, but they did take some shots with Olave. And I know that was with Jameis Winston. I still think 58.5 is too low. And then I'm going Andy Dalton, primetime Andy to throw an interception. So I've got Kamara rushing attempts over, Olave receiving yards over, Dalton interceptions over, same odds as Jim, plus 540, so a profit of 108 on a $20 bet. Spencer, what you got?
Yeah, I went with a little different stuff here, but kind of similar as far as it's going to be, I think, a rough night for Tom Brady. Got Tom Brady under on passing yards. I thought that total was way too high. I have that on best bets too. I don't think there's any way he throws for that many because but against the Saints, he usually struggles. There was only one game out of past 5 regular season games where he's been a buck against the Saints. There's only one game where
that was the Halloween game where Jameis got hurt, I bet.
It was. Yeah, that was the only game where he threw for over 250 yards. So I don't see him going over there. I think he goes well under that total. And then also we'll go coinciding with that, the under 41. I think this is a low scoring game. Dennis Allen knows how to slow down Tom Brady. And then on the flip side, you've got primetime Andy. Really don't see the Saints lighting it up. So I like the under. And then Adam Troutman, an overplay here on his prop. I like Troutman to go over because the Bucs defense struggles against tight ends and Jawan Johnson's out. So Troutman will be the primary receiving tight end.
Can I show something real quick? Go ahead and talk about his.
Uncle Big Nick's SGP, Kamara over 4.5 receptions, Taysom anytime TD, Brady to throw a pick. I like that one too. So drop your comments. Which one of our SGPs is most likely to win? Or if you have an alternative, tell us what you're betting same game parlay tonight. Go ahead, Jim.
Here's why Tom Brady's over is so high, or total yardage is so high. Use this graphic this morning. And if you look, it's because the Saints have their passing defense, their rushing defense is not up, but they're not going to run the football. But I think it's more of, you look at 5th-ranked passing offense, and even though the Saints have the 7th-ranked passing defense, people don't believe in them. So I think that's where that comes from. And no one wants to bet Tom Brady's under anything. So that is always going to be jacked up by at least 8 to 10 yards. So
people don't like to bet unders, period.
Well, that's true, especially in player props. I mean, and we don't do them that often either. But I have a weird feeling. I talked about this in Datitude. The under seems too obvious. And it has crept up actually a little bit. It's gone from 40 to 40.5 where it was most of the week. And now it's at 41. I have a weird suspicion that it's going to go over. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't disagree with what Spencer said. I think that Dennis Allen does a great job against Tom Brady for some unknown reason. I still haven't figured that out. But if you talk about this series before the last two games, not only did 11 games in a row there were over 30 points, which isn't that many, but 10 of the 11 games, one team scored 30 points in a game. So I just have a feeling because they played lower scoring games, and it kind of works this way in division. You'll see it with Atlanta, especially. The Saints will play Atlanta one game, they'll play a 13-10 game. And so everybody bets the under the next time they play, and it ends up being like 30-26 or something. And I kind of have a feeling we're going to see that tonight, especially because I know this sounds weird, but I think the Saints are going to kind of jump out to a lead a little bit here. And I could see Tampa Bay then start trying to like do some different things. So I could see some weird backdoor covers on an over.
Yeah, I think they need to jump out to a lead.
I think they will.
It's but to your point, Tom Brady's passing attempts prop is 39.5 attempts. I mean, they think Brady is just going to throw all night long. And I do think he gets into the 40s, especially if the Saints get out to a lead. So that's an interesting take there.
Another reason why it's a good bet to take the over half interception, at least one interception, because I do think he's going to throw 40 to 45 passes, which obviously increases the odds for the Saints to get a pick. The Honey Badger, look, he has been missing at times, but you don't think that he's ready. He's all ready to play Tom Brady. Trust me.
Yeah, I would think so.
Go ahead, Spencer.
I was like, yeah, for sure. And then there's another thing, the Bucs O-line's so beat up to where, I mean, even if Brady drops back a lot, is he going to be able to get the ball down the field? And just the only issue would be as far as with the Saints defense, Lattimore, they thought might come back. He's out again. So that'll help. But I feel like, though, even with that Tristan Wirfs being out, the Bucs left tackle, Brady's just not going to have enough time.
Yeah, that is a huge deal. Tristan Wirfs' injury, the news of that coincided with that line dropping immediately early this week. So I think at least part of that movement is due to that. You're watching Bayou Bets, Monday, December 5th, Monday Night Football, Saints Bucs tonight. We're talking about that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for us if you would. We are live on the Bayou Bets YouTube channel every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock. We're going to circle back to Monday Night Football, make our picks at the end of the game, because you will notice that none of our same game parlays included a pick on the actual game in there. They were all player props where Spencer had the under. So tell us what you're thinking. And I like this. Will Brady have more passing attempts than his age?
73?
No way.
That should be
73? No way.
No way.
I mean, look, he's 45. The over-under is 39.5. It's not that far away, especially if the Saints do lead most of the game. You could see Brady throw that many passes. He doesn't throw deep passes anymore very often. It's all dink and dunk, leads to a lot of attempts.
He's older than Uncle Big Nick.
He's not older than Jim Derry, though. Let's not go that far.
Close.
That's crazy talk.
You inverse his age.
All right, lots else to talk about. We're going to pivot here to college football just for a few minutes.
Oh, boy.
LSU and Georgia played Saturday in Atlanta. Georgia wins 50-30. This was a weird game, guys. I mean, it was like Georgia gets the cover. I kind of feel like if you bet LSU, you got to feel hard done by. I mean, they threw for 500 yards. They had 560 some odd yards of offense, outgained Georgia in this game, but didn't cover a big spread because of a huge special teams mistake. And just because Georgia was able to keep them at arm's length.
It's a completely different game if they don't allow Georgia to just pick up that field goal, that blocked field goal, and just, I mean, you're moping off the field, and Georgia's sitting there waiting, and people call it dumb. I had some people call the dumb foot. LSU's dumb. They're not. Look, it's a mental lapse. It's not dumb. I mean, how often do you see anything like that? It's
brain dead. It's not dumb.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, if that doesn't happen, I'm not saying LSU wins the game, but I think the fact, they had to settle for a field goal, so they were already moping a little bit anyway. And then the fact that, they pick it up, instead of it being 3-0, now you're losing 7-0. It's a 10-point swing. A completely different game. I think it's lower scoring if they kick that field goal, or even if it gets blocked and nothing happens. So that just kind of, even though LSU scored in the next drive, it just took so much juice out of them. They gave them the ball again inside the 25, I think, and right after it, and just it's just a mess. Everything that could go wrong for LSU in the first quarter and a half of that game did. they should have been winning. Instead, they were down 21-7. It just,
yeah. Well,
one of those
Nick
things.
brings up an interesting point here because the guy who returned it for a touchdown was literally like bent over with his hands ready to scoop it up and looking at his sideline, waiting for the coaches to say, "Yeah,
Right.
go ahead and return it." And he even said that after the game, like, I was waiting for the coaches to tell me it was okay because that's what we. And you're going, that should not happen in a live football play. Somebody
Right.
has enough time to sit there, stare at a sideline, wait. I mean, I'm talking a good 3, 4, 5 seconds. He waited. Okay, yeah, pick it up. LSU's off the damn field. And he goes 97 yards the other way. And at that point, I mean, look, at that point, Spencer, the game's over. Like, I know they still had 55 minutes or 50 minutes to play. If you're a 17-point dog, you don't come back from a mistake like that.
Right. Yeah. And then with Jaden Daniels being banged up, it was just too many bad circumstances there for LSU. It looked like Nussmeier, at least it was encouraging that he did well down the stretch. You know, they didn't just quit and fold on offense. They kept fighting against that tough Georgia defense. That could have ended up a 30, 40-point route where they instead made it pretty close. Where if you bet the live line at one point was up to 34.5. So if you got the live line, you covered with ease. So
almost every live line, actually. If you after about the middle of the first quarter, any live line you bet on LSU, almost any one of them hit. So I mean, and that's the difference between betting it early. I mean, LSU has been a much more profitable team this entire season betting live than they have been betting before the game.
And Jim, we said that last week. We said this is not a game to bet before the game. It's too tight on the spread. Bet it live. And that's and look, the over-under also at Georgia went 3 and out to start. Maybe they got one first down, but they punted. And then LSU went on this kind of methodical drive all the way down, the one that ended in the blocked field goal. And the game was scoreless more than 10 minutes in. The live total was down to 45.
Yeah.
And they almost doubled that. So
and even in the second quarter when it was like 21-7, I think it was still like 61.5 or something like that. So I mean, you could see that where that game was going, and you knew LSU wasn't going to quit. So I had some things going on. I was trying to do. This is a first for me. I mean, you're drinking beer on the air, so I can tell you where I did social media from. I did the second half of social media at a wedding reception, sitting at a table. So there you go.
This is good beer, by the way. Shout out to the Rally Cap Brewing Company, Baton Rouge. It's good beer.
Maybe they'll send us a case.
Maybe they should. Quick question here from Edu. Should I start Olave or Godwin? Those are good options to have, man. Maybe we're talking DFS here. What do you think, Spencer?
So. Yeah, that's a tough call. I would probably lean Godwin, since Lattimore's out, Saints secondary takes a hit. And with Brady probably having to throw a bunch with their running game stinky, Godwin would be the lean for me.
Yeah, tough call, but I agree with that. We're winding our way towards this big CFP discussion, by the way. But first of all, LSU's bowl game. Yeah, LSU's bowl game. They're playing Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. The traditional New Year's Day games are all on January 2nd this year because New Year's Day is a Sunday. So on January the 2nd from Orlando, LSU a 6.5-point favorite on the early line. This is, we need to talk about this too. Today's the first day of the transfer portal being open. This will be the most wild offseason in college football history. I don't even think, you got to wait to bet on bowl games unless you have some inside info. You don't even know who's playing in these games.
I already bet on a bowl game. I bet on USC.
Yeah, well, that was my next stop was Tulane.
By the way,
congratulations to the Green Wave.
I hate that LSU and Tulane are playing their bowl game at the same time? And that's
3:00 on January 2nd. Yeah.
That is at noon, I thought, right?
Yeah, I think it's noon.
Or yeah, you're right. Noon on January 2nd. The championship games are 3:00.
I mean, the only good news is it's not New Year's Day, so you always have, you got the New Year's Eve, and then you got to wake up early to watch. LSU plays a lot of noon January 1st games, but
they play in the Citrus Bowl a lot.
They play
third time in the past 6 years.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of like their shtick. So it's bad enough you got to get up early. At least you don't have to get up early on New Year's Day. It's the day after New Year's Day. But still, I mean, come on. Why are we playing them? There's got to be a way.
Oh, you got NFL games on New Year's Day. So
yeah, exactly. So I mean, well, I don't know. I'm a little peeved about that.
It's unfortunate. I mean, these game times are all set well in advance. So it's unfortunate. But shout out to Tulane. Congratulations to them. They beat UCF on Saturday to win the American Athletic Conference. They go from a 2-10 season to a 10-2 season.
Take the Trojans.
This line's weird. It opened up at USC like -5, went all the way down to -1, and now it's popped back up to 2.5. And it's only been open for a day. So lots of movement to come here.
Take the Trojans. Free money.
Might not have Caleb Williams, though. Probably most likely will not
care.
have Caleb Williams.
I don't care. I'm sorry, Tulane fans. I love what you've done this year. It is great for the city of New Orleans. It is great for Tulane University. I'm glad Willie Fritz is playing. USC will have a lot of trouble with Tajay Spears, but other than that, it's USC. They were what? A couple plays here and there away from playing in the college football championship playoff. And now they're going to, and I get also that a lot of times teams, when they don't make a playoff or something and they're disappointed that they don't play as well.
They're let down. Yeah.
I think USC is going to be really ticked off.
It does seem like a really low number.
That is a ridiculous, absolutely absurd line. If Caleb Williams was definitely playing, it'd be like 8 or 9.
Yeah, it seems like a very low number. And listen, Tulane's had a great season.
I take nothing away from him.
I also think if Caleb Williams plays, the over 64, because USC goes over 64. Tulane's got
I think it's over 64 anyway.
USC goes over 64 in every game they play. I mean, look at their schedule.
They have
except
no
for
defense.
The game at Oregon State
defense.
was a low scoring game. That was it.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to stop Tajay Spears. But the problem is I don't think that Tulane's be able to do much else. So Tajay Spears is going to get his, and Tulane's still going to score. I think Tulane can still score in the mid to upper 20s. But I think the problem is USC is going to score in the upper 30s without Caleb Williams. I think that this USC offense is that talented to where they can make things happen, especially against a team like Tulane.
And Tulane's played some high-scoring games as well. So
yeah, you look at the first UCF game. So
yeah, yep. I do like the over in that game. Okay, New Year's 6. Starting with the college football playoff is Georgia against Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. First time Ohio State's ever played in the Peach Bowl, by the way. And TCU against Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. To me, Jim, this was a very easy Final Four to pick. The only question in my mind was whether Ohio State or Alabama would get the number 4 seed. But, Ohio State slightly worse schedule, but only 1 loss versus 2. Ohio State, pretty easy pick in my mind. I know you don't feel the same way.
Oh no, I think Ohio State was an easy pick.
So but you would have left TCU out.
Here's my deal. I knew that I could have predicted this. I mean, I would have bet you could have given me even money, and I would have bet a mortgage payment that this is exactly the way they were going to do this the other day. So when we got into our little Twitter, whatever you want to call it, here's my thing. If you're going to pick the teams with the best 4 resumes, then tell me that ahead of time, okay? Because it makes a difference. They should know. Here, my biggest problem with this is college football is still a farce, by the way. I mean, when you're talking about a bunch of dudes sitting at a table deciding who's going to go and manipulating things whatever way they want to manipulate them, like a lot of things in life anyway, by the way. I think it's ridiculous that it's all opinion. This is all like a bunch of dudes sitting around wondering what they knew what they were going to pick ahead of time. There was no doubt in their minds what they were going to pick. And so a couple of things. First off, I want the 4 best teams. I don't want the teams with the 4 best resumes. Are the teams with the 4 best resumes in this thing? Yep, I agree with you, Zach. I agree that TCU has a better resume than Alabama. There's no question about it. Is TCU better than Alabama? Please don't even try. Don't even try to argue.
Who cares?
You
cares?
Care. You care, obviously.
All right, I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
So I want the 4 best teams, okay? You want the 4 teams with the 4 best resumes. The NCAA, they're just like, I don't even know what the hell they're doing anymore. They never get it right, first off. I can't say never. Sometimes they can't screw it up. But when they can screw it up, they do. And there's the 4 best teams in the country right now, and you cannot debate it. You can debate it all you want. You're going to be wrong. Are Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama. Those are the 4 best teams in the country. TCU lost to a team, and again, I know I'm going to tick some Tulane fans off when I say this. TCU lost to a team in Kansas State that lost at home to Tulane, that lost at home to Southern Miss. Get out of here. Go ahead.
All right. Maybe it's just a problem you have with semantics, best versus best resume. But
it's not semantics.
Why does it matter that Alabama would be favored over TCU? That's the argument that you keep making. That's the argument that everyone keeps making. Oh, do you think TCU would beat Alabama?
Okay, hold on.
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
All right, it doesn't matter, but I want you to ask the question. Okay, it doesn't. I'll give you it doesn't matter, even though I'm being completely facetious when I say that. It doesn't matter. Who's better, Alabama or TCU? Who would win on a neutral? Who would win in Fargo, North Dakota, or is it South Dakota? I don't even know. Fargo, Dakota. Who would win in that dome they play in if Alabama played TCU there with 10 fans watching?
I actually think the game would be closer than you think, but Alabama would win more often than TCU.
Spencer, who would win?
I would say Alabama, but to me the issue is with the college football playoff thing is that, I mean, TCU went 12-0 in regulation and then lost in overtime in their conference title game. And it's just one of those deals to where, to me, you can't put in two teams from the Big Ten and the SEC because Big 12 is considered Power 5, Pac-12 Power 5. Like USC would have still gotten in if they hadn't lost. But how can you can't really prove that, though, because they don't play each other enough to say that definitively.
You can prove it by the eye test.
You still have to. Well, that's I don't agree with that. To me, you can't do that.
Here you go.
That's not fair.
You don't like using Vegas, but I'll tell you what. Right now, I would say Alabama -6 over TCU. Who would you take, Zach Ewing?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just asking you. Who would you take? It's a realistic question.
-6. I might take TCU, honestly. Alabama's not as good.
We don't do this in any other sport. Why do we do it in college football?
The fact that we're arguing about this
whole thing.
Why
do we do this?
The fact
you don't hear in the baseball season, in a 5-game series, the White Sox would be favored over the Guardians.
Couldn't agree more.
Why did we pick the Guardians?
Couldn't agree more.
Why did the Guardians get to go to the playoffs? The White Sox would be favored over them. Well, we don't do it in the Chargers would be favored over the Jets.
Couldn't agree more.
If the season ended today, the Jets would be in the playoffs, not the Chargers, and no one would argue about it.
Agree 1,000%.
The Clippers got to play with didn't have Kawhi Leonard last year. Oh well, we should consider that when we pick playoffs. No,
I agree 1,000%.
Games matter. The games have to matter.
They obviously don't. They don't matter. That's the point. The whole point is we're arguing about something where it's all these things are our opinions, right? Everything we're saying here today is our opinion. There's nothing fact.
Factual that TCU has a better strength of record than Alabama.
The only thing that is fact.
Factual that they have a better record.
Here's the only thing that's fact. There's only one thing that's fact. I don't know how many dudes are on this committee, but these dudes are sitting here deciding who's going to the playoff. That is the only fact of this whole thing. Nothing else is a fact. Everything else is opinion, including the guys' opinions who decided who's going to this game.
Strength of record determined by your record against your strength of schedule is not an opinion.
That's not what they use. They use their own opinion. It's an opinion.
By the numbers. There we go. By the numbers. TCU had a better year than Alabama.
They don't play anyone.
Uncle Big Nick is on the money here. If you just want to take the best teams, then let Vegas pick the teams on Labor Day. Because it ain't going to change.
So you're saying you don't want the 4 best teams. You want the 4 best resumes. I get that.
Which is how it works.
Okay.
That's how it should work.
That is how it should work. But the fact that we're arguing
the best 4 resumes.
The fact that we're arguing about this shows you how okay, look, I respect your opinion, Spencer. Zach, I even respect your opinion. I think you're wrong. I want the 4 best teams, but the fact you're missing the whole point. The fact that we're arguing about this and how stupid this system is, it is dumb. They need to come. I would rather see 5 if make it 5 instead of 4, and all 5 power. You want just the champions go. What is the difference? Take the damn champion of the Pac-12.
Yeah, there could be a better system. I agree with that, but to me, they didn't screw it up this year. To me, this year they got it right.
They did. You can't. If Alabama gets into this playoff, then
you love to use the whole thing about the other day. Your first argument was that TCU was a yard away from going undefeated. Well, you know what? Alabama was a Mason Taylor turning the wrong way away from winning that game, going to the SEC championship and having a chance to win the SEC championship.
You're right.
So don't tell me about a yard. None of that yard crap matters. They lost the damn game. They lost a Kansas State team that is going to get the doors blown off of them by Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. And if you want to bet that, we can go. I don't even know what the spread is, but give me Alabama right now minus whatever.
It's only 5.5.
Okay, actually. Well, give me Alabama right now. You can have K-State.
But listen. None of that matters. If you want to just pick spreads, then don't even play the games.
Forget spreads. I'm not talking about spreads. I'm talking about who's better. It's an easy thing. It's not that hard to figure out.
You look. The fact that LSU, if you're just picking based on who's best, who would win on a neutral field, then you're making that magical night in Baton Rouge where LSU won that game in overtime and 100,000 people stormed the field. You're taking that away because Alabama would be favored over TCU whether or not they lost that game. So you want to take away the meaning of that game? Then sure.
All right, here's another.
Take it away. Don't play the game.
I'm going to move on from this because we can sit here and argue till till 7:00 tonight. But there is one more. There is one other point. Okay, there is one other point about this whole thing. That even if you're going to pick these 4 teams, okay, you pick the 4. I knew they were going to pick the 4 teams. It's fine. Here's another thing that pisses me off about this stupid system we have. You cannot tell me that TCU is still the number 3 team in the country after they lost to Kansas State.
They have the 3rd best resume.
Oh, give me a freaking break.
Who's got a better resume, Jim?
Common opponents, too. You can use that. Right?
Who's got a better resume than besides?
So why did they even play the Big 12? Why did they play the Big 12 championship? That's what I want to know. Why did they even play it? Why did they show up? So TCU could have not shown up. They could have put in all their. Why didn't they just play their backups? They could have just played their. Why?
Because they had to.
Why?
Well, but I mean, first of all, they didn't know USC was also going to lose, and they also wanted.
But they knew going into the game that USC lost, so they could have played their backups. I think we
can all agree, just as a last point, we can all agree the 12-team playoff in which conference champions get an automatic berth is a vastly improved system, which is what we're going to have in 2 years.
Is that where they're? Are we sure they're going to get?
It will be the top 6 conference champions. So the Power 5 plus the Group of 5 champion get into the playoff plus 6 at-large teams. So that is a vastly improved system over this because then the conference championship games do mean something. And that's all I'm asking for. Why did they do this
40 years ago?
That's all I'm asking for is for the games because of the bowl system, because of the Rose Bowl, because of the Sugar Bowl.
They still could use the bowl system.
Well, they're going to. I mean, they finally figured it out. Real quick, the odds, Georgia an odds-on favorite. Not quite as big of a favorite as they were, and I think that's because Ohio State gets into the field here. Tougher semifinal opponent than they were projected to have. And Ohio State you could get them at like 50-1 a couple weeks ago or after they lost to Michigan. Now they're plus 350 to win the national title.
Yeah.
Georgia's still going to win, I think, but
I guess I still think there's a little value there only because, first of all, you guys can have the feel. I'm thinking Georgia. I think there's value at minus 135 actually, and I would rarely say that there's a value at minus 135. The only thing that is a little, I guess, nerve-wracking this time is I've been saying for weeks the only team I think can beat Georgia is Ohio State. So whoever wins that game is gonna beat the other team. Michigan, I don't care if it's Michigan. Michigan's not better than Ohio State. I don't care that they won. I don't care how much they won by. They play again in the national championship game. Ohio State's going to win. So that being said, I think there is value in Ohio State at plus 335, but you kind of missed the boat. It's kind of not one of those things I want to bet on because if you miss a boat like that, a nice long, nice cruise liner where you got, the suite and the open deck, and oh wait, I forgot to book my ticket, and now I'm in this cramped little 8x8 room with no windows. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you see that it was minus 160 a week ago. So that from that perspective,
I'm talking about Ohio State.
Oh, Ohio, yeah. Okay.
So you kind of missed the boat on it, but
sorry, I've been drinking.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I got you. Put that back up. What is TCU again?
On the look ahead line.
I'm not being funny. I wanted to see what is TCU.
It was 18-1. Is that right?
Okay.
16-1. 16-1.
Put $10 on it. This has been a chaos season. Then that'll give you all kinds of fodder if TCU won the national championship.
I like TCU against the spread plus 9.5 against Michigan. I don't know that I like them to win. By the way, on the look-ahead line, if there is an Ohio State-Michigan rematch, Ohio State's favored by 3 points. You can bet that at certain sports books. If it's Michigan and Georgia, it would be Georgia by 7.5 in the championship game. So that's the look-ahead line right now.
Georgia over TCU? 13?
15.5.
What a joke.
And Ohio State over TCU be 10.5. But they won the games. They earned their way there. Nobody is going to begrudge the Jets if they make the playoffs. Okay, we're going to move on. And I'm happy we're going to move on. We're going to get back to the Saints-Bucs picks here at the end of the show. A couple of other things first, starting with our big Bucs picks.
I lose $95 and I'm still
you're not winning.
Yeah, that's the lead back.
I'm gonna win.
You took the lead back.
But
I just want to draw some attention to the bottom of your screen there. Of course, the week that I bet the least, I won 5-0. Caesar's gonna pour himself a little drink here, boys.
Oh my God. Zoe, is there a way to email Martin Medicine?
He's drunk
Caesar for the day.
I just need to pop in for a quick question. Is that sanitary? That thing's been on your head and like.
This is the nectar of the
I'm
gods.
serious. I think I'm gonna be sick.
This is the nectar of the gods. Who needs sanitation? 5-0, baby. 5-0. I'm back in the game.
What's the Greek god for Pepto?
In all seriousness, this shows you, like, listen, gambling, you can be up, you can be down. You're going to regress toward the mean. You talked about this, Jim, when you were like 32-13.
It's unsustainable.
Yeah, you can't sustain something like that. Just like you won't sustain a level of losing like that. You're going to pop back toward the mean. The hope is that popping back to the mean means that you're 55% and not 45%.
Well, I told you off the air before we got on the air. I mean, it's just one of those weeks. If you go and look at my NFL picks column and add them all up, going into tonight, I'm 8-6 against the spread. I just picked the wrong games as my best bet. So I was at 54% for the season overall, picking every game. And oh my God. Well, someone.
I think I don't want to give a quick thought, like the fascinating thing just with.
Can we have your dad on next week, Spencer? Just you know.
You don't want my dad. Oh, it's Spencer's dad.
Take Zach off the screen.
My dad would fall asleep.
About I didn't want to get quick about just like the streaks.
By the way, Terry, I don't like Alabama either. I hope they lose too. I can't stand Alabama. I hate Alabama. I think Nick Saban is, let's see, how can I say this on the air? A POS human being. Okay, that's the best way that I can put it. He's an awful person. I can't stay in Alabama. I didn't like Nick Saban when he was at LSU, but Alabama's the fourth best team in the nation. And they should be in the.
They didn't have the fourth best season,
and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to drink a little kick.
All right, okay.
Nothing
kickstart yourself.
In this, by the way.
Couple other things I want to get to real quick. NBA odds: the Pelicans are red freaking hot, guys, and yet they're still only 22-1 to win the NBA title. They're the number 2 seed in the Western Conference if it ended today. I don't think they're going to win the NBA title. I think they have a better than 5% chance to, though, which is what 22-1 implies.
There's value there. There's definitely value there.
I already got it 30 something to 1. I think 35-1 a while back.
I think the and not to start my Celtics bandwagon again, but I think the Celtics are by far the best team in the NBA.
Here we go.
I'm going to have to make you a real dunce cap so you can wear it during the NBA playoffs.
Can you make it green? Can you make it green?
Absolutely. And I'm going to get you some glasses again.
Okay. Can I drink out of it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Jerry,
don't make us bring
buddy?
up the Warriors again.
It is game night, Jerry.
Was nice for me.
By the way,
Jerry was on for Datitude this morning, so Jerry's
had a long day. I appreciate that, Jerry. Golden State at plus 650.
Yeah, I don't know about this year. Last year it was nice, but that's the thing. Last year I didn't bet on them till the playoffs began. I didn't bet on them at this point.
Yeah,
every time y'all say playoffs, I just want to playoffs.
Okay, Jim Mora.
Shout out to Jerry. He's been here with us from the beginning.
Hell yeah. We love Jerry. World Cup odds are down to 10 teams. They'll be down to the quarterfinals after tomorrow. Brazil had a 4-0 lead at halftime.
Brazil
down plus 190.
I did data too this morning, did a couple other little things, and I made myself a cup of coffee, and I sat in bed for a minute. And I accidentally dozed off when that game was starting. I woke up, it was 13 minutes in, so I dozed off for like 15 minutes. Brazil, it was 2-0 already. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What did I miss?
Yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah, it's
a mismatch.
It was pretty good. And by the way, France will play England. You see the second favorite against the fourth favorite there. That's a quarterfinal matchup. So that'll be a good one. Spain and Portugal still need to win their games to get into the quarters. So that's the World Cup odds. And finally, want to look ahead to next week's NFL before we circle back to tonight's game. I misspelled Eagles. God, I wasn't even drinking then.
The Eagles.
I wasn't even drinking then. The Eagles are 7-point favorites at the Giants. I'm curious, Jim, because I got to give Jim credit, and I don't do this very often.
Oh, boy.
You called Monday Night Football on Halloween night. You absolutely nailed the Browns over the Bengals, and they won that game easily. But now the Browns with Deshaun Watson, the Bengals are playing very well. They're at home. What do you make of that line?
Recency bias. The Bengals are now going to be everybody's lovely darling. You beat Kansas City. You're already on a roll. You were already becoming kind of a darling anyway. So it's going to be an inflated line. I have to do analysis, though. I have to tell you, I'm not sure the Browns' heart's going to be in this game. I mean, they already beat them at home. It's a different story. They did not look good yesterday, but under Deshaun Watson. They were playing anyone other than Texans. I know that score is deceiving. They had a defensive touchdown. They had a special teams touchdown.
And they had two defensive touchdowns and two defensive touchdowns. Yeah.
So the Texans are just so bad. You can take nothing from that game. And they actually, Chubb didn't have near the day that I thought he was going to have. So I think Deshaun Watson is a work in progress. I got to do analysis on that game. My initial impression tells me that 6 is not enough. But that being said, it's weird though. There would be value because of what happened on Halloween.
Well, it opened at 4.5 and immediately was bet up to 6.
Yeah.
Terry, by the way, go Saints. You'll find out if we think they beat Brady in just a minute. Do you think the Bengals get to the Super Bowl? Listen, the way they're playing, you've got to consider them at least only half a step below Buffalo and Kansas City. I mean, I think they have a legitimate chance.
The only chance they have, they need two things to happen. They need to win the division, which is looking better now because Lamar Jackson's hurt. So they have a good chance to, by the way, I jumped on that division train. I'll show you that ticket later, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But they also need to make sure they're not on the same side of the bracket as the Bills and the Chiefs. So you want the Chiefs and Bills to finish 1-2 because then they can't finish on this same side. The problem is if you have to play both of them, I don't think the Bengals can beat both of them. I think like last year they got lucky. They only had to play the Titans. Remember, they played the Titans, and then they played, they almost lost to the Raiders in the wild card round.
They almost lost every single game.
Yeah,
I mean, every single game was down to the wire.
Well, and then if Tannehill doesn't throw in 4 picks, they don't win that game either. They win that one 19-16. So they cannot be on this. They cannot. Well, I shouldn't say the same side. They cannot have it so where they have to play Kansas City and Buffalo. I think they can beat one of them. I don't think they can beat both of them.
I agree with that. I think the Bengals are actually better than they were last year. But I things broke exactly right for them in the playoffs last year, and you can't necessarily count on that happening again. Spencer, week 14 lines here. What jumps out to you?
Vikings Lions. That makes no sense. I know the Lions have been playing better lately, but to be favored over Minnesota, that's just I don't get it. I mean, Minnesota's not quite as good as their record says, but to me, it's
a trap.
Don't take that in your big bucks.
On what side? What side do you think
they're begging you? The Viking that screams to me the Lions are going to win this game. I wouldn't touch that game with this because
the Vikings defense is terrible.
I agree 100% with you, Spencer. That line makes no sense. That's one of those 5 or 6 games a year where you're like, this makes no sense. You got to bet the Vikings. Do not touch that game with a stick. I'm telling you now, you'll get burned.
Terry likes the Vikings.
I mean, not always. I mean, sometimes
almost always when they jump out. Because I agree with you 100%. I mean, the Vikings should be favored. The Vikings should be favored by, I think 3. It makes no sense.
Both quarterbacks ended up injured in that 49ers-Dolphins game yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo out for the season, broken foot. Could be a Baker Mayfield spot. The Panthers released Baker Mayfield today.
Stop it with the Baker Mayfield.
Well, do you want to Brock Purdy? I mean, he looked okay yesterday.
First off, even if they were to sign Baker Mayfield, but the 49ers are actually a smart organization. There's no way in hell they're signing Baker Mayfield. Okay,
so
but even if they would, there's no way he's going to start this week. He wouldn't come in and start. They're going to start Purdy.
Yeah.
And they're going to count on their defense.
And 3.5-point favorites over the Bucs.
That's
not
enough.
Tough spot for the Bucs. Short week, cross-country travel.
That
really
will
tough spot.
absolutely be in my best bets.
Yeah. And the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa looks like he will be okay to play. They're a 3-point favorite at the Chargers.
That's another number that's weird.
Assume the Dolphins are staying on the West Coast after playing in Santa Clara last night.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins in that one. I think they'll bounce back. Just the Chargers. The Chargers stink. I'm done with the Chargers. I was always buying in.
Love them.
Justin Herbert, that's one I gotta. That's just how they stink. I mean, they lost to the freaking Raiders yesterday. I mean, the Chargers.
The Raiders playing well.
Y'all are just.
Oh, come on.
I mean, they're not but they're not very good though. The Chargers. If the Chargers were a true contender, they would have won that game. They showed me right there. It's like with the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. Like you get your hopes up with them, but at the end of the day, they're just not very good.
What about in the beginning of the day? Are they good?
What do you guys think of this idea?
Well, yeah, they've got talent. They've got a lot of upside, but they just don't ever seem to capitalize.
What is Terry trying to do?
Terry, you're saying like with 6 armholes, like we each get our, or only 2 and hug each other.
Not after you drank out of that nasty cup.
That's as long as I get to keep drinking,
Oh, that's so gross.
That tasted like it might have had some dust in it. All right.
Oh my God.
All right.
Lord. I guess Zach's permanently going to keep the Caesars Cup now.
I ain't taking it.
Jim Shirley isn't taking it.
I'm not touching
it home and throw it in the dishwasher. My wife will
I've already had COVID twice. I certainly don't want it again. Or whatever the hell else you would give me.
No one touches this cup except for Caesar, okay? This is the nectar of the gods. All right.
Wow.
Time for the Saints.
Going so far off the rails.
I'm thankful Jerry reminded us, by the way, the Saints-Falcons game was moved back to Sunday.
It is
next week.
But I don't think it's on Fox. I think it's on CBS.
I'm not sure about the TV channel, but it is noon on Sunday after the bye week. Terry asked if
it was going to be Saturday, right? It was going to be Saturday?
Originally the reporting was they were going to move it to Saturday, but it is going to be Sunday the 18th.
Yeah, I need to confirm. I will confirm with my Fox friends, but I believe that is a CBS game, but I'm not 100% sure.
Jerry, Saints really need to win. Yes, they do. If they lose this game tonight, look, the playoffs are
Jerry,
over.
Are you trying to be Captain
I got to
Obvious?
pass on the 2 armholes.
2 armholes, 1 in the middle, sandwich. I ain't sandwiching nothing with those 2 clowns. Just letting you know.
Yeah, I'm not that cuddly. All right.
I'd rather drink out of Zach's cup than sandwich with those 2 clowns.
Hey, now. Only Caesar drinks out of this cup, okay? We mentioned our single game parlays. Jim has Brady to throw a pick. Kamara over 12.5 rushing attempts. Taysom Hill over 25.5 rushing yards. I've got same thing, Kamara rushing attempts. Olave over 58.5 receiving yards. And Andy Dalton to throw an interception. Spencer under 271.5 on Brady passing yards. Under 41 on the game. And over 23.5 Adam Troutman receiving yards. Now it's time for our game picks, guys. Spencer, what's your final score tonight? Saints.
All right. Yeah. I think it's going to be ugly, real low scoring. I hate to be negative, but I'm usually kind of a downer with the Saints this year, and because I don't like what I'm seeing.
Downer.
And yeah, I'm going to have to keep it going. My prediction is Bucs 17, Saints 16. Tom Brady leads a 2-minute drill to end it.
Listen, nobody wants that. I mean, no, I actually think that's a reasonable projection.
I hate doing it, but I've got to be honest. If I have my honest prediction, that is it. No black and gold glasses there.
Okay, so 1 for Tampa Bay. Jim Derry, your final score for tonight.
This is actually a fairly easy analysis, and I'm not sure why I didn't put it in my best bets. Although if I would have put it in best bets, it certainly would have lost because everything else in my best bets lost except for Green Bay. Look, the Saints are a better football team than Tampa Bay. I can't believe I'm saying this. They're better coached. They have a better offensive line. They have better running backs. The only place, in my opinion, that Tampa Bay is better than the Saints is at quarterback and at wide receiver. Everywhere else, the Saints are better. And there's a reason why they have their number. There's a reason why this line's been dropping like a rock going into a creek. I think the Saints are going to put a lot of pressure with the Tampa Bay offensive line situation. Tristan Wirfs being out is a really big deal. And they've been missing Ryan Jensen, their center. They're just not very good. They have less chemistry than the Saints have, and that's saying a lot. the Saints win this game. I think they take a 10 or 12-point lead, and I think that they have to survive in the end because I do think that Brady will start passing. I'm going to say Saints 24-20.
That was so close to what I was about to say. Now I'm going to have to come up with something different. Terry says Saints win by 7. Look, one thing I was looking for on the same game parlays, and it wasn't available, was sack props. I think the Saints get Brady at least four times tonight. Tristan Wirfs is a big deal. He has always been matched up one-on-one with Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan gets at least 1.5 of those 4 sacks. And I think they make Brady's life miserable. I do think the game actually goes over the total because I think the Bucs will pass a lot and extend the game. But I'm going to go – I'll go you said 24. I was going to say 24-21, so I got to say something different now. I'll say Saints 27, Bucs 21. How's that? Jerry's got Saints 24-17. I'm glad you picked the Bucs, Spencer, because we're being a little too optimistic.
By the way,
somebody had to do it.
You want me to be a little Derry Downer to show you how I think this division is so bad, okay? But it's only right that the Saints win this to make it, so the Bucs are leading the division at 5-7, and then they get to go to San Francisco next week and lose, and everybody's 5-8. But the Saints, I think they'll win this game, then screw it up by coming home and losing Atlanta.
That is very possible, and it would be fairly depressing as well, I think, for Houdat Nation. So we'll see what happens, but that's in 2 weeks. We'll worry about tonight. By the way, primetime Andy Dalton, 6-20 straight up, 9-17 against the spread in primetime. But Tom Brady, in the last 3 years since he came to Tampa Bay, 2-11 against the spread in primetime.
Here's another one. Where is it? Here it is. Tampa Bay is 3-7-1 against the spread this season, and they have covered just once against Seattle on November the 13th in Munich since the second week of the season. They won their first 2 games against the spread. They've only won one since against the spread. So if trends like that continue, then that means it's at least going to be a tight game. It would be a surprise. This is also the 30. A streak is about to end. This will be the 32nd and final time that Tampa Bay has been favored 32 games in a row. That will end next week at San Francisco. So, and also one last little nugget from my trends column that I enjoyed. This is the first time in Tom Brady's 21-year career that he has been on a team with a losing record this deep into the season. And it's also the first time since 2005 he has gone this far into a season without a 3-game winning streak. Obviously, they can't win 3 in a row this time because they lost to Cleveland last week. But so things aren't necessarily right in Brady land. It's not just Giselle. It's his other buddies, too, in Tampa. They're also letting him down.
Well, the hope around these parts is that keeps going tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been Bayou Bets. It's been off the rails just a little bit. Listen, we got to get going.
Oh, my God. Zoe, kill his mic. Kill his mic.
Kill my mic. I got drinking to do. She killed your mic. You're supposed to kill his mic.
Say goodbye.
You're on my side. All right. Goodbye. Okay. Terry says that Brady's going to go back to the pay. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. No. Nick's got Saints 20-16. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll be back on Thursday at 4:00 to talk about this game, and we'll look forward to the bye week.
Fantasy tomorrow. Fantasy roundup tomorrow.
Maybe they might not let us ever come on the air again.
This is the time. Have you ever seen Stephen A. Smith, man?
We work for John George's, not for ESPN.
Okay.
They want us to get fired up. We good.
Sorry, Mr. George's.
I hope
we'll talk more college football playoff maybe on Thursday
too.
They
want us to get fired.
I got more to say. All right. Stop talking about us getting fired. All right, we're going to see you later. Saints and Bucs 7:15 tonight on ESPN. We'll be back Thursday at 4:00. Fantasy roundup right here at 2:00 tomorrow. For Jim and Spencer, I'm Zach. Thanks for watching.